Right, Nobody Named Kevin podcast, episode 32. It's been a while, but is anyone in the room still named Kevin?
Still, who
Never
fucking changed
was.
their name?
I don't
Never
know.
was.
You always seem like a bit of a Kevin to me.
That
Oh,
I don't know what's going on here. Some shit went down. I was never named Kevin.
I want the birth certificate.
It might be from another nation.
I'm sure. Bro, so did y'all see the Twitch leak yesterday?
No,
Yeah, I saw it.
Dude, did you
What was
see did you actually look at the list or did you just glance past it and see it?
No, I looked at the list. Basically what happened is they're a year's worth of their incomes, like from August of last year till October now, got leaked. I'm just kind of like, I don't know, maybe you have a different take on it, but I'm just kind of like, yeah, these people make a lot of money. I don't know what anybody expected they were
Dude,
gonna find out.
for me, it's not like I'm not weirded out by it or anything. Like I expected they make a lot of money. It's just odd to me to be able to actually see the number and know how much it is, right? Like there's that part of you where you can lie and be like, yeah, they do well, but I don't know how well they do. And you try to convince yourself it's not that high, and then you see it and you're like, oh, nope.
was
How
that like
much?
the
Like, so the
streamer's
top one,
income?
Yeah.
yeah, like the
Individually?
top, that just from donations. So like, I think XQC is the highest. Was it 5 million?
No, Critical Role's the highest at 9.6 million.
Yeah, that's what it was. Critical Role. Yeah,
1 year.
and they were like,
Dang.
yeah, which I mean, whatever. Like they have a production, they run their stuff like a business. They have a team. Like, I mean, I'm just kind of like, yeah. They also sell physical products. So again, that's actually just their donation. That's not sponsors. If they take sponsors, I don't know. That's not their physical products. You know what I mean? That's not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the whole thing with the league. I'm like, I'm just kind of like, yeah. And then even Critical, not Critical Role, but Moist Critical is like, he's like, yeah, like you make, like we make money. Like I don't know what this, like, what do you want me to say? You know,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's not
I mean,
hard to understand. And then Pokimane was like, she capped her donations,
Yeah.
and she's like, I make even more than that because she takes sponsors.
No, dude, there was a lot of people. The funniest one I saw was Soda Poppin's response. He literally said, guys, the Twitch leak is fake. I'm not that poor. I'm actually higher on the list. It's not real. It was great.
The funny thing is, like, I didn't unless I skipped over it. I actually didn't see T-Pain on it. I expected T-Pain to be high up there.
I'm not surprised because honestly, he only has like 2,000 or 3,000 in his stream at a time. All these other people average 10K or higher.
Yeah, they also it's like a 8 to 9 hour a day thing sometimes for them.
Oh yeah,
That makes
100%. Like I forget who it was like, yeah, I mean that was because it was like 2 years roughly worth of it. It was at least one full year, and then they missed like 1 month of July in 2019 that they couldn't grab. But one person was like, yeah, I made that much. Keep in mind, I took a year off. Like
The thing is, like, it's crazy. Like the thing that I was trying to wrap my head around is like, oh my gosh, this is how much they make. But it's also kind of like, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's like, what is to be expected? I mean, it was like, this was like how many years ago? 10 years ago? No, that's probably too far. Maybe it's only 6 or 7 years ago when PewDiePie, it was a big deal that he was a millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, it's such a huge deal. And I don't know if I mean, come on, let's piece it together. Everything you do gets 3 to 6 million views.
Mhm.
What do you think is going to happen? And if you upload daily like that, at the time, well, he goes in spurts. Sometimes he uploads daily, sometimes it's like different schedules. But it's like, what do you think is going to happen, bro? Like, yeah. And he has to like come out and make this video about like, hey, like, it doesn't matter that I'm making $7 million a year. Like, I just love doing this. I feel the same as when I started doing it and I was just making videos and I was working at a hot dog stand. It's the same thing.
Well,
And it's like,
It's almost more honest money than like running an actual business because he's like, this is just money that people give me. Like they're like, yes, I
Yeah.
enjoy your content and what you put out. So here, keep doing it. Like
dude, like the
I
thing
am not
is
asking
like
for anything. Like that's
most of those streamers run things that put back into the community. Like I know Moon was on there in like the 20th position with 2.2. He does every like 3 months. He does what he calls a game jam, in which he gives away like $50,000 to $60,000 to the community and has them make games, and he decides a theme, and they make the games in like a couple weeks, and then he plays them on stream. Like, and then I think
that's
it was
dope.
Carnage who does like 1 point something million. He doesn't take his donations. His donations actually go 100% to his mod and his employees that he has help him with stuff. Like, he doesn't even make any money off the actual donations.
I mean, they're just regular people. At the end, I mean, they're just like they got famous playing video games, and like that's an awesome. I don't think it's bad. Like, are people coming at them like it's bad? That they,
no,
okay.
if anything, it's
there's-
just the
yeah.
clarification of the meme of like you donate money to millionaires kind of thing that they make fun
Yeah,
of.
it's really that.
Like,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you are donating to millionaires. Yeah. Yeah. I think the other thing too is like, it is kind of staggering of like, now a lot of people, they're going to have another surge of people trying to stream because they're like, dude, shit, I can be a millionaire. It's like, again, back to the PewDiePie thing, or even T-Pain has like a clip of this. Like, he's like, you just have to enjoy doing it. Like T-Pain, T-Pain apparently has had his Twitch channel for 7 years.
mm-hmm.
I just found out about it like this year. He's like, dude, he's like, I've just been doing it for 7 years. And he's like, don't do what's hot. He's like, play games you actually like to play, talk about stuff you actually want to talk about. He's like, if you're just trying to ride trends, like you're going to hate it. You're just going to hate it. And he's like, I've been doing this 7 years. And he's like, keep in mind, I was famous before I started Twitch. I was rich before I did this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, like that is so, it's like, just honest advice from someone who's been very successful in the mainstream and can make another hit song if he wants to, but is also doing this alternative route because like he's like, well, this is fun to me now at this point in my life because.
Well, I also feel like if you're T-Pain though, like you're T-Pain, you have money, you can't literally do it as a stance for fun. Like that would be the only thing I would say to that is like he can actually 100% hold himself to it because he doesn't want for anything. I literally think the only person that's going to get made fun of for it is Hassan, and that's it. And that's just because of his political takes.
Oh, is he like what, like super liberal or something?
Eat the rich, like far, far left. Like literally that. And that's what's hilarious about it. Is like it's funny to see. It's like I know you don't mean like when you say eat the rich, you mean the rich,
yeah,
like
the elite class,
the one that
the
you'll
1%.
Never get near, no matter how good you do in life. It's like I get it, but most people don't, and it's gonna be hilarious to watch.
Yeah, because the people watching your stream are people making like 30 to 50K a year.
Yep.
So it's like
it's gonna be hilarious, dude. I'm excited for it, but like
I do wonder, like, so if people like him, if they're outspoken like that, are they gonna start tanking on donations? Because they're gonna be like, dude, fuck you. You make this much a year. You know what I mean? Probably not, or they'll maybe lose like 20%. Whatever. I don't know.
I don't think he will, mainly for the simple fact of like he had his whole like $3 million mansion that he purchased that he claimed was for family and not himself at all. So it's like, dude, if that didn't kill how much money he's making, this definitely isn't either. It's like one of those things where it's like it's too big to stop at this point. It doesn't matter how you feel, other people are still gonna give him money.
There's no limit to human stupidity. Yes, there's never you're never gonna run stupid people.
Mm-hmm. Like
100%.
My thing is like the few times I've donated, it's always been small streamers I enjoy. Big streamers, I just sub, and that's because I don't want to watch the ads, and that's it. Like that's literally all I've done.
It really is kind of like, man, this really is a virtual street performance.
To a degree, yeah.
That's
pretty
interesting.
much, yeah.
It's like, throw the money in the hat. Like, yeah, keep up what you're doing. That is so weird.
I mean, that's.
I actually never thought of it like
like,
that, but yeah.
It's like, you want me to dance like you for a monkey? Yes, I am. I do expect you to dance like a monkey for me, or whatever. Yeah, that's so freaking crazy, man. That's interesting. It's kind of, and that reminds me of kind of like, it's like, what did you expect? That really makes me think of the Facebook thing that happened, the whistleblower from Facebook. It's like, again, is it breaking news? Yeah, somewhat. But what did you expect? Did you just not think? Did you think just because they're tech and you think they're left leaning, there's nothing going on? Like, what did you really think was going to happen when a company gets that big?
Happened?
Like,
yeah, what's this like?
So
what happened?
Oh my God!
I've seen it, but I haven't looked at it at all.
So she's whistleblower. She was whistleblower from Facebook. She came out and exposed how the algorithm, like, yeah, it's going to favor what you like, but they push more anger inciting and violence inciting content to you because anger gets a better reaction. So Facebook has this whole front of fact checking, removing radicals, right? We don't want any of that. But in reality, she showed like there are algorithms, there are email chains, there is stuff at work to make you more violent. That is literally what their whole motive is, despite what they say outwardly. After this happened, Facebook was down for like a whole day. This was like, and that was a huge meme in itself. Facebook was not working the other day, and it came back up, and then the whistleblower thing came out. So the whole meme is like the whole time they shut it down, they're just like deleting files all day and like shit like that. But they purposely like push violence inciting things despite their whole like, oh no, we don't want that.
That's wild, dude. I can see that because literally, yesterday, the day before, my sister was telling me on her stories, like she's like, anytime I post like a regular picture of like myself or like a scenery or somewhere I went or whatever, she's like, I'll get like 100 views or 150 views or something like that. But she's like, whenever I post something that's like a political opinion or something, like she posted something about the Texas abortion laws, 20 views. She posted something about like domestic violence help or something the other day, and she was like 15 views. Like it was, she's like, that's so weird. Where's all these people that view my just regular? So I mean, they do. Now I don't know, if they're like that's considered too political or what. I don't know, or if it just doesn't align with.
No, for sure. Like it is. They push things that are going to incite anger towards you, right? And because they own multiple apps, they own WhatsApp, they also own Instagram. All of those things are working, to piss you off because it's going to keep you on the platform. But also alternatively, it's like, how can you say, you don't want to incite violence, you don't want these things, you need all these fact checkers, independent fact checkers, but reality is that is not the case what's happening at all because it's making you more money. So in the grand scheme, it's like, well, if you step back, I mean, what the hell do you expect? Yeah. It's breaking news, but it's also like, how many times do you have to see these things to expect these things? Like, yeah, I mean, I am not surprised by something like this.
I don't know. If anything, I'm more surprised that it's like, because at least the way you're wording it, and at least from how you described it, is like they are intentionally pushing it. Like they have made the decision to write the code that way. Whereas, like, the way I always kind of saw it is like, yes, someone built an algorithm that's really good at its job. It found out this is what people like, so that's what it pushes for. So, like, if what you're telling me is true, it's more the fact of, like, there's behind the scenes that they keep on pushing that, and they found out that's what it does, and there's no trying to fix it.
That's what it is. It's much less the plausible deniability of, like, oh, the algorithm's is good, It's not a coincidence. It's like, yeah, we know it works good. We're going to figure it out to make it work this way. So, yeah, I mean, and even the AI now reading the text in your images, too, can push different things to you.
Wow.
Like, okay, so, for example, one of my sisters posted a photo of, she took a personality quiz for a Pokemon. She was like Charmander or something. And there was a COVID vaccine misinformation warning on her photo of Charmander. And I was like, I
Well.
like slid up on her story, and I'm like, dude, why is this a COVID post? Like, what the? And like, she's like, LOL, I don't know either. And then I clicked their story again, dude. If you look in the photo in the background, there is a tab open because she was trying to get a shot, I guess, or a test. And there's a tab that says you can barely see COVID. The AI scanned that word on the background tab, saw it, and was like, COVID misinformation post. I'm like, what the hell is like, what do we?
Yeah, that doesn't.
That
sounds like the algorithm not working correctly.
Yeah.
I'm just like, dude, that is so insane that it's just like that word, probably misinformation. Why?
Yeah.
Why? It was so it can read the text inside the image, which is crazy to me, and it's like, that is crazy to me, because it used to be like, if someone were to say these things, you could flag it. No, because they have to get around that, because people just share memes of stuff. People like make a text post, screenshot it. It's like, well, it can read that text inside the image and still flag anything, flag it for violence, flag it for misinformation, or whatever the case may be. That I'm just like, we live in a very advanced and strange time. Like, where are these things? Like, where could these things lead to?
I don't know, bro. At the end of the day, we just walk away from the table.
Walk away from the table.
Dude, that's all you can do with social media. Like that, like everyone sits here and pretends like, oh my god, it's so bad. Okay, if it's so bad, why do you participate? If I don't participate, people won't know I exist. It's like, okay, well then it must not be that bad.
It is addicting, like what you were about to say.
Yeah.
But I haven't been on Facebook in years. But the Instagram, I had one up until like 2019. I lost the password when I switched to iPhone, so I had to make a new one. But like, losing my old account and all the crap I had on it, and going to this one, and I just have like 30. I'm like following like 30 different pages or something, and I get on there every once in a while. But I'm like, I think Instagram depressed me. I don't know about other people, but like, really just because it was like an addiction. I would waste time and put off shit I had to do to just scroll through and look at like whatever, like anything that like chicks, like dudes that I'm like, when I was bodybuilding, I'm like, I want to look like that, but I don't look like that. Lifestyles that I want, shit like that. Like, I don't know. It was just, and for some reason that was addicting. I did it every day.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I have to look and see what's been posted in the last hour. And I don't know. It fucked with me after a while without realizing it until I stopped. And then I was like, wow.
I feel like it's addicting, but it's also the fact of what it shows you is always perfect things. It is, you never get to really see behind the scenes much.
So it's like, shit, I don't have any of this, But you don't. I'm not thinking that while I'm looking at it, but I think it's like maybe a subconscious type thing. I don't know.
Probably. It's probably been a slow slide.
Yeah.
Well, it's addicting, yeah, because it's like it's showing you shit you like to stare at, and you just feel the need to scroll and check it like a reflex, like what's new. And if there's not anything new, you're like, oh, this app, it's not popping right now. So then you go over to Facebook. What's new? And it's all garbage, but it's just so addicting. It's the same.
Yeah.
It's not limited to those two. I mean, you can endlessly scroll on Reddit. You can endlessly scroll on YouTube. You can definitely infinitely scroll on YouTube.
I was going to say that's my addiction now. YouTube and Reddit.
Yeah, like you'll spend like 4 or 5 hours a day like wasting time, and like it feels like you feel full, dude. You feel full at the end because you've just consumed, and then you feel that guilt of like, man, I didn't do shit today.
You see, dude, that's what's funny to me is like Reddit is probably the only thing that's close to social media that I have, because it's very different from traditional social medias to a degree. But even then, dude, I don't look at it when I'm not at work. Like, I literally only look at it when I'm at work and I have nothing else to do and I don't care what's on the TV and I'm just bored. I'll look at it. But as far as like home life, it's very, very rare I'm ever on Reddit during like my time at home. I'm always typically doing something else.
I enjoy Reddit. I'll fall into some fucking threads, bro. But then like Twitter, even though it's like a kind of a similar setup, but instead of like, your avatars, it's like actual people. Like, I have never been able. I've tried to get into Twitter, but for some reason, I'll follow the pages. I don't know. I just get off of it. Twitter does never appealed to me. I've never been able to like fall into like a tunnel of Twitter. I don't know why.
Me either.
Reddit, yeah, for hours.
Oh, Reddit's
just
an
like
easy one to fall into. Yeah, it's just home life. I don't have it happen, but like at work, dude, scroll through, see a Reddit. I'm like, oh, dude, I haven't checked this in months, and I'll just scroll and just watch videos and stuff like that as it goes.
Mm.
Well, even to the and it's like a reflex. Like even if you know you just checked it, you'll reopen it, and you'll be like, did something change in the past 10 seconds? Like it's just so like you literally like it's just a reflex. So like I have to set screen time limits to where it shuts off. And I won't look at it. Or if I look at it, I feel bad because it'll ask you. The iPhone will be like, "Are you sure you want to extend your time?" And then you do it, and you're like, "All right." You're like, "All right, I feel guilty. I'll take this one pass or whatever." But like, you have to like enforce these limits on yourself. And that's what most people are gonna have to do. Because like if you look like, dude, like it's real easy to just get endless on there, you know. And yeah, same thing. I couldn't get into Twitter. It's just a cesspool of like people who haven't done shit with their lives telling you why you're a racist this morning, or what other ism you might be because you use this word, and you're just like, whatever. You've done nothing. You're 17. You have you just what you know. And then like I can't get into that. And then with Reddit, I haven't used close to a year plus because I put the screen time limits on. I'm like, I have to sacrifice something. Sacrifice Reddit. I was like, I don't
picked the wrong one, man. Picked the wrong one.
No, I'm good losing Reddit.
Dude, I'm sorry. If we're ranking social medias, bro, I think Reddit's one of the better social medias. Like of all of them, just because like there literally are interesting rabbit holes you can fall into.
Yeah, I mean the one that you're into that I always tried to get into. I tried to get into 4chan, but I could never navigate it well enough. Like I could never figure out like.
That's another one.
Yeah.
That's another one I can rabbit hole because and that's garbage as well, man. It's the same arguments for the past. Like, dude, the first time I got on 4chan was 2010. I remember it was high school, freshman year. I was like, man, it's time for one of these crazy websites, and that was like 4chan was like the. You know what I mean? Like that was like the bad website. So I got on 4chan. I can like literally like I could show you a post from today. I could show you a post from 10 years ago. It's the same argument.
Mm-hmm.
It's calling people the F word for being new. It's like tranny threads, BBC threads, gore threads, humor threads, and then whatever the off-topic argument is. Like, you know, like there's people that are into lollies. There's people that are into furries. And then there's always someone trying to piss somebody off with some political thing. Like, there's always someone being racist. There's always someone starting a racist argument. And then the argument always continues. Yes, someone hops in and is like, go back to the political board. And it just gets more and more racist. And it's like, these arguments are never going to
honestly,
end. It is the same stuff.
I'm just, I think it's a good thing because I think of 4chan as like the prison island of social medias. Like that's where like the big trolls go. That's where they go when they're bored and they want to start arguments. Like they go there. They try to keep it out of the other places. Like it's,
and that's the other thing. I think that's another reason I couldn't get into Reddit because I got onto 4chan first. And 4chan's whole thing is if you start being annoying, they're like, go back to Reddit. That is always the insult. It's
they
like,
hate the Reddit normies.
And because people who use Reddit type a certain way. And that's what's so crazy and so stupid and nuanced. But you can see it because someone will type a certain way. And the way they speak, people will start tagging them and be like, found the Redditor. It's like, I'm not from Reddit. I'm not from Reddit.
Dude, my thing is though, like, I don't get into like reading the comments too much on Reddit. Like, and it's maybe every once in a while I'll take a look, but most of the time I'm clicking and I'm like, oh, that's crazy. Move on to the next thing. Oh, scientific thing. All right, cool. Let me click the research paper. Let me look at what their synopsis is. Like, I don't care what people say on it. I'm just like, okay, cool. I may take a look at one or two comments and then jump off of it. It's very hard for me to care about what the comments are in the pictures and stuff like that.
I think
like
my thing with
comments.
Reddit is like, because I have this perception that it's too far left, and so like some of the stuff that gets big on there or some of the comments, I'm just kind of like, okay, whatever, I get it. Whereas like 4chan is just it to me, that is more an Alcatraz style thing. It is just arguing for the sake of arguing, and it is just so pointless that I can understand it, because I'll start troll threads and I'll see where they end up, because that's funny to me. Because, dude, and like especially on the Pokemon board, like I've seen, but I had another argument a few weeks after that. I was arguing that you can't catch them all because you're gifted to certain Pokemon in Sun and Moon. And I know I was arguing with kids. They're like, you haven't even played the game, if that's what you think. I'm like, no, this happens like this happens like this. And if I can get someone to call me a fucking retard, I laugh like a little squirrel girl, because you know what I mean? It's just like they think I'm that dumb, and that cracks me up, because they'll just be like, "You're effing retard. That's not how that even happened."
Dude, that's what's funny to me though, is like 4chan is keyboard warriors. Like arguments happen.
Yeah.
Dude, like I'm one of those people that I would look at that thread, look at what you post, and I'm like, huh, that's an interesting take. Boom. Like, I'm not one of those people that I delve into the comments or I really feel strongly against it enough to argue on the internet. Like, I feel like that's one thing that, like, I just understand. You don't argue on the internet. It
goes nowhere.
There's no context to it is the problem. Like, you can't read whether the person's just messing with you or not so that you're in on the joke or not. Like, you just can't. You just have to know.
And you're not.
And you have to make assumptions.
I was just thinking about this today on my drive. Like, it was one of those cringy moments that came back. Like, I used to get on arguments on Facebook, and I just cringe. And I'm like, the fact that teenage me thought I was actually going to change someone's mind arguing with them is so dumb, and I'm so glad I'm over that, because, like, yeah, you're never going to change someone's mind in an internet argument. It's not going to happen. It is never going to, and even in real life, when you get to the point of argument, just drop it. Just be like, all right, cool, whatever. It's not going to go anywhere. But people, like, they love it. They love it. Like, again, I'll troll. I'll argue some stupid point that's not even there. And sometimes you get called out for it. They'll be like, they'll just skip over you because it's too blatant of a troll. They're like, you can't be serious. So you have to be covert and you have to do it the right way. But yeah, like, why do threads go into these argument rabbit holes? Like, so many people like think they're going to change someone. They think they're going to change, Cum Slurper 69's opinion on, the war in Afghanistan. You're not, dude. They decided before you even showed up.
Well, my thing is, too, is like, why do you care to change someone whose username is that? Like, there's so many dumb usernames that it's like, why? Like, dude, look at the dude's username. He clearly doesn't care, or he wouldn't have put that.
I would think it's because these people have, like, they feel emotional about these topics, or they feel like they're represented by these topics, or they're the ones that are supposed to defend the name of whatever it is you're arguing about.
That's their form of activism. Yeah.
Like,
kind of, yeah.
I don't know. But, like, even things that I, like, actually am passionate about. Like, we all know I'm passionate about video games. Like, I love doing it. At the end of the day, when they start those, like, threads of, like, oh my god, Battlefield 1's gonna have women, I'm like, okay, I don't care. Like, I'm gonna just play the game. Like, I don't care what's in the game. Like,
Wait, there's an argument about that?
Dude, that blew up a year ago. That, like, oh, gamers aren't buying this game because they made a woman, like, they're making women characters, and it's like, oh my god, like,
see, like, stuff like that,
cares?
If I have the time, which I'll make the time sometimes, I'm like, that is perfect trolling ground.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, that is perfect.
But even then, like, I'm passionate about video games, but I just, like, I don't care. Like, at the end of the day, dude, I'm going to play what I'm going to play. I guess it's just the fact that I've gotten older, and I just don't care what everyone else is doing. Like, I'm gonna buy the game that I find fun. Like, I'm not. If Devin wants to sit there and literally play like Pokemon Go all day and he's playing video games, like, what does it matter? The game is for him. It's not for me. What does my opinion of that game matter? Like, unless he asks me, I'm not gonna just be like, hey, dude, I want to let you know I saw you playing this. You're an idiot. You don't understand the nuances of gaming. Like, get over it. Gaming's
like
built
not,
for you. It's not built for everyone else. You get what you want from it.
Not only that, like, and that's the thing too, is like you almost have like a level of empathy of like, you have to like have some maturity of like, okay, am I really going to attack someone who's playing Pokemon Go? What if they're just a nice person and they're like, this is just what I do when I'm off work? And they're just like, why do I need to defend myself? You realize you're like, what type of person am I talking to? Like, I saw there was this YouTube short that came up in my feed of a kid. He just learned a new skate trick. And he's like, does this count? And it was so sloppy. His toe like slid all over the floor. And I was like, it does not count. Does not count. But then all the comments were like, yeah, man, you almost got it. And I was just like, dude, I'm not going to attack a kid. I just moved on with my day. I'm like, me saying doesn't count, bro. You have to redo it. I'm like, I look like an asshole. He's clearly younger than me. I look like double the asshole. You know what? He'll learn on his own. I'm just going to move on.
I would look at it and be like, yeah, dude, like, clean it up. Like, you're there.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's it. I'm not.
You can't go the wrong way.
Yeah, like, did you do it? Yeah, to a degree, but it definitely needs to be better. You need to work on it, but you're literally on the right track. Stay with it.
And like to the point of the Pokemon Go thing, you know me on a personal level. If you did shit on me for playing Pokemon Go, it is going to go nowhere. We are both just going to go round and round.
Yes,
I'm going to compare.
We're going to go stupid arguments.
I'm gonna make your hardcore game somehow on par with Pokemon Go. And you're like, this doesn't even fix it.
Well, dude,
because video games are just like, I think I heard Donkey say, he's like a $60 piece of art that you can literally play forever and always discover new things. Like, you know, like if some like millionaires who trade art, one person's gonna think, who the fuck paid $10 million for that? But I'll pay fucking $20 million for this. And then, I mean, it's just why, like Clayton said, why does someone care? Why?
Yeah, like
it's for you at the end of the day. Like,
unless my opinion's asked on it, like I'm never gonna attack
like
someone over it. Like if someone goes and pays like $1 million for a piece of art, do I think it's dumb? Yeah. Like, am I gonna go and tell them that? No, I'm just. My opinion's my own, man. You do your thing. Unless you ask my opinion, I'm not going to tell you. Like, I'm not going to just hit you with my opinion anymore.
Well, dude, I mean, yeah, like, so the Pokemon Oreos got released. And I'm like, did y'all miss that? Oreos. Okay. So, no, Oreos.
Oh, Oreos.
So they're Oreos.
Shit.
They're Oreos with Pokemon stamped on the top of the cookie.
Mm.
And my whole take on this is like, I sent it to my uncle and I posted on Facebook, and I'm like, food is a collectible. Couldn't imagine why another country would want to bomb us, right? But anyway, it's a big thing. I'm like, this is a joke, whatever. The Mew, if you find the Mew Oreo, it's several $1,000s. People are paying to have the Mew Oreo. And I'm like, why does this surprise? That one caught me off guard. I'm like, why does it surprise me? I'm like, I cannot believe it. And everyone's like, oh, I should have bought the Oreos. I should have bought the Oreos. And I'm like, I guess I should have bought the Oreos. Several $1,000s for an Oreo cookie with Mew on it. Okay. I forget.
I
forget.
It's one of those ones, man. I don't care. Dude, it's like when dumb things take off and you're like, man, I should have put money. And it's like, dude, I just don't care. Okay. Like us being in SHIB, right? And it took off. And it's like, dude, I look at it and I'm just like, this is stupid. This is stupid.
Dude.
Like, this makes no sense. This proves that this makes no sense to me. I don't really care anymore, man. Like, it's stupid. It's just however many people are excited about it, whatever. Like, if you miss the boat on something that's dumb like that, don't feel bad. Just understand, like, whatever, man. Just move on.
Will be another one.
You made the right decision to not go into it full force. You made the right call. Everyone else didn't make the right call, and it just happened to be one of the few things that paid off on.
That's all it is, man. Like, it's because I'll tell you, dude, I went even harder in, and I've tripled my money. And I'm like, the fact that this is working is almost frustrating.
Dude, like, watch it, bro, because if it's I saw it went up the last 3 days, and then today it dropped 13%. So watch it, bro, because I know
I'm holding.
Keep them stable coins right there. Yeah.
No, I'm just holding because here's the thing. It's like I said, it's a lottery ticket. That's all it is. Like, if it goes to zero, okay, I've made fake gains, right? Like, I've made this much, but I don't actually pull it out, so I never saw it.
Yeah, it's unrealized.
It goes down. Right. So it's like, cool. Again, if it ever goes to $1, I will disappear from the planet, and I will live on my own, away from society.
See, I've already determined, like, my sell-off point for SHIB if it happens. I'm like, if it even gets to 10 cents, I'm pulling.
10 cents?
Dude, oh yeah, if it even gets to 10,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, to be honest, if it gets to 10 cents,
yeah,
I'll never have to work again.
Because my thing is, I don't have that much, but if I pull 10 cents, like, if it gets to 10 and I pull out, I could buy a house. That takes a lot off my plate. Yep. That's all I need. Like, I don't need to be filthy rich. Just if it can take something off my plate that I don't have to worry about in the future, great.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. No, 100%, dude. 100%. Like, that's, you know, like, all the people that bought Bitcoin when it was, when there was like 12 zeros in front of, until you got to a decimal. You put $1 in that, it's like, well, the coins are worth 50K now, whatever. You caught it at the right time, So the only way to know how to do that is to be in these spaces early and just watch it and do that one thing. You know what I mean? Like, whatever it might be, whatever you're interested in, just watch that one thing. You'll catch the trend before it happens. I just don't care enough for crypto. I saw this, it was funny, threw a bunch of money at it, and I'm like, oh, cool, I made some money. Just gonna ride it, you know what I mean? I can't, you know what I mean? Like, in my work industry, I can catch trends because I've done that for 5 years now. It's just like, you know what I mean? So, I mean, with anything you want to do, you know what I mean? I'm sure Clayton can catch fucking gaming trends. Like, oh my God, everybody's putting this feature in every game. Donkey made a great video on that this past week. Everything is a combination of Dark Souls. Dark Souls plus this. Breath of the Wild plus this.
Oh yeah, that whole video he went through where I think it was like the originality one. Where he goes down the rabbit hole to point out that apparently, like, I don't even think it's that. I think it's just like people can only know how to compare things to things they know. Like, I think it's literally just
that. Makes sense.
Like, I don't think it's the fact that, like, oh, games aren't original. No, I think it's that reviewers just don't have original thoughts. They have to compare it to things.
I think also, and like, because my thing too is like, I think it was funny, but I also have to realize, like, your job as a reviewer, you need clicks on your video, you need people to buy the game, right? So if you can relate it to them, like, well, damn, what is the most popular game that's similar? Dark Souls, right? Breath of the Wild did add that feature, and now everyone has that feature, which, I mean, I'm like, is that the end of the world? Because how many you can go back far enough, and you're like, well, this feature that everyone has started in this game.
Yeah, I mean,
eventually it's like,
well, like, it's like the progression of cars, right? Like, do you compare everything to the Model T? Well, none of those things would be there without the Model T, right? Like, just because, like, because one person doesn't mean it's right, like, doesn't mean that you're not allowed to take it. Like, it's okay as long as you don't make like a carbon copy clone of their game. It doesn't matter. Like, if you take their thing, add it into your game because it's a good feature, it doesn't make your game bad.
Yeah, it's like, dude, it's just a smart feature. The way they did stamina and climbing is just really good. Mm-hmm. Like what are we gonna, like, nobody can have XP because we found the first game that started XP. It's like, dude, that's been around on pen and papers before it was in video games. So what do you mean? Where do you draw the line there?
I guess
You
it
know,
would just
and
be
then
like when a game creates like a new mechanic that's just like revolutionizing, just like the stamina bar and the climbing. I mean, it's just. I mean, that has to have been in games before. I think that was in Lost Planet. You had some form of climbing, didn't you, Wagner? I know you played Lost Planet, or did
well,
you
you know,
not?
honestly,
It's been so long, honestly. I did play Lost Planet, but I don't remember.
if you
I
want
just
to
know
get
you had
real
to
technical, you want to get real technical. Tony Hawk's Underground. If you got off your board, you had a timer for climbing. You know what I mean? But I'm not like, oh,
Okay.
Nintendo stole that from Tony Hawk's Underground.
But that's my point. It's just an idea of a mechanic and people build on.
They
it.
did
Yeah,
it and they
you
just
can't-
presented it well. Like I don't understand why people want to
You can't claim
gatekeep
it.
things like that. It's like, dude, it's just a feature. Like, what's it matter?
And also
But I
to the
get-
degree of like, if it is an art, it's like, oh, the community's building upon itself.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's really cool. I'm going to put that in my piece. But I added this. That's really cool. I'm going to put that. You know, if it is a community, that's how it works, dude. That's how it works.
Yeah, it is like an art, but it's also kind of like a business. So, like, I could see how people see it as also like NDAs, like non-disclosure agreements. Like, hey, our company, we were the ones that created this mechanic, and y'all are now like you've gone to another company, and now this developer is developing the same type of mechanic for this game.
That's different because
I don't
that's
know.
a non-compete clause, but there's a lot
Or that,
more that
there
goes
you
into it. But when it comes down to it, it's like when the owner of PUBG tried to sue all the other, like Fortnite, because Battle Royales was his thing. And it's like, dude, that's not how that works. Like,
It's a genre.
Sorry someone did it. Like, there's certain things you have to meet that are reasonable as to, like, okay, this person stole it. Like, oh, the idea is a Battle Royale. Okay, that doesn't make it the same game because there's so many things that can be different within that.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's too vague. I mean, and things become their genre. There was a Battle Royale genre when that took off, right?
MOBA, League of Legends.
Monster collecting is now a genre because Pokemon's gotten so big. Everybody wants their own. You know, your brother sent me a really cool one that's coming out this month. I think it's coming out in a few days. And at the beginning, it's like, oh, this is Pokemon. Yeah. But it gets really cool if you watch the trailer. If you watch the trailer, it's like they breed and they fuse. So, it's like, so it's a little bit of Digimon. It's a little bit of Pokemon. It's a little bit of Final Fantasy if you want to argue turn-based combat. But were they the first ones to do that? I think so. But again, it's art that builds upon itself. So it's like, at some level, you know what I mean? But like Clayton was saying, if it's a carbon copy, like Genshin Impact is literally, I really play as Breath of the Wild with anime characters. Unless I'm missing something.
I haven't played it enough to know, but it's like, if I got the idea right, it's like Breath of the Wild mixed with like a multiple hero game. Like you have multiple different characters. I think you can like level up separately. But I never got far enough to get into like the loop of the game.
My thing is even that, like, let's say we go that far, like, okay, still the main story is different. So like,
yeah, it's a different art piece.
Like,
I mean,
that's what I'm saying is like it has to be very close because you could say Nier and like Neo are carbon copies of like Dark Souls, and it's like, no, they share a lot in common, and yes, they are extremely similar, but they're both still clearly different games.
Dude,
and you can also no, go ahead.
If you even wanted to take it to like real art, I saw the other day on the internet that there's like Mona Lisa. Someone made another Mona Lisa, but it's like her bending over with her skirt up. I mean, that's almost a carbon copy of like, but it's in a statue form, and she's bending over in a suggestive way. So it's different. It has their own take on it.
No, it is different. It's an interpretation of it. Yeah, it's what's your take on it? It's when people do covers of music. You know what I mean? Okay, what's your take on it? You know what I mean? If somebody just repainted the Mona Lisa, it's like, dude, that's whack. Like, that was been done. But if you're like, okay, I'm going to do the Mona Lisa, but I'm going to make it out of Skittles. It's like, that's an interesting take. You know what I mean?
Dude, I saw there was an even weirder one. Okay, this guy, I think it was in Italy or Spain. This guy sold supposedly like a like a Buddha statue or sculpture that he made. It was in on a city sidewalk. It was invisible, and there was just blue tape and like the size that it was supposed to be on the ground, and it sold for like $18K. I was like, what is life?
That's what you
What
call
the
a scam.
fuck is going, dude? What's
Hey,
going on?
A fool and his money are easily parted.
That, yes, the event around it is the art itself. It is a statement in the fact that I can sell you air for $18K. What does it say about society? Oh, interesting.
Well, so it gave me an idea, actually, because when I watched the video, I thought it was going to be like you walk up to the square and you pull out your smartphone and it would show like an augmented reality, like an NFT or something. I'm like, that would be cool. That would make more sense. It wasn't that. It was like just fucking nothing. Like,
I get where you're going with NFT. It just reminds me of like, I love when people use like smart, up-to-date tech language and like don't even know what the fuck it means. Like, not NFT, but like I was watching some interview the other day. Guy one brings up something and guy two just has to butt in. He's like, oh, like the blockchain? And the guy one's like, yeah, anyway. And I'm like, in what way was what he was talking about anything like a blockchain? Are you just saying that because it makes you sound smart? If I was that guy one, I would love to be like, actually, no, explain to me how what I said is like a blockchain. Because they were talking about social media. Like, what?
I would love to know, because I don't even fucking understand the blockchain. And I've been messing with crypto for a long time.
That's what I'm saying.
I partially get it, but I
Like
don't get it. But that's everything, dude. Partially understand it, but don't, right? Like, internet. Do you actually understand how internet is created? No, but I understand the concept. Like, I get it, but I couldn't tell you the intricacy.
Like, dude, I wonder if we're gonna like. I feel like we're already to this point, but if it's gonna get worse as we progress to technology, like, and other technologies that are already just around as newer generations are born that we're just used to, and that are just like maintained, but not necessarily like creating new versions of. Like, if we're just gonna lose, if we're gonna have to relearn certain skills on how to like keep society maintained, because we're gonna be like, you know, like, say like 100 years from now, if the internet goes down, everyone's just like, shit, what happened? Like, how do we get this shit going again? Now they made this like 150 years ago. Like, I don't know. Because it's so deep now. There's so many layers.
That one, I'm like, no, a lot of people can, because there are people who literally actually know how to build internet and stuff like that, but I get what you're saying. Like, it's the concept of, like, I mean, Warhammer 40K, that's kind of the idea, is that humans pretty much, like, conquered, like, we're trying to conquer the galaxy, got overtaken by, like, a super, like, AI and went to war with them, and they essentially, like, smashed them into rubble, but didn't win completely, and they lost in the end. But humanity doesn't actually understand how their technology works anymore. Like, they can reproduce things, but they don't understand the concept of, like, how to build on it.
That's what that's kind of what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
When you're like a little kid and you get left at home and you're like, I don't know how to make food for myself. I thought only parents could create food. And you have to learn how to make that skill. But also to the degree of like, I think it'd be interesting watching, like, it almost feels like when you watch kids and toddlers grow up, they're like, you're like catching them up to history at an insane rate. And I guess, like, to put this in perspective, so, like, if you give a toddler a flashlight, they think it's the coolest thing ever, right? I was watching my son play with a flashlight the other day, and he's just like, you know, to us, we're like, it's a flashlight. It's an everyday object. Most people don't even own one. They're built into our phones now. Who cares? Mm-hmm. But he's so amazed, and toddlers are so amazed because they're like, light. I have light in my hand, and I can point it wherever I want. Think about the first flashlight that was invented, right? Or the first lantern. It's like, how many years did it take to get to capture fire, to capture a torch and be able to do that? You know, he's 4 and he's like, I possess the torch. I possess basically the sun. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He's like, I possess the sun in my hand. It's like they rapidly progress so fast because they've rapidly progressed through everything we've done, because like you have 5-year-olds that can, you know, work a phone better than a 60-year-old. they can open up a tablet and get to the video they want to watch. And then like, you know, you have, you know, geriatrics that are like, you know, can't turn their phone off of silent.
That's kind of what I wonder about, like these, like, because I mean, like we grew up into smartphones, like they came out as we were growing up, but like the kids coming up now are like, that's just part of their life. It is early. I've seen kids like 2, 3 years old, like they have a tablet, they're on everything, they're watching it, but they know how to work it very well. Like you said, they can maintain, like they can do anything. But like nowadays we're going down a path of like just replacing shit when it's broken. And not just like tablets and phones and computers, but I know like even shit like farm equipment. I was reading the other day like a bunch of like John Deere equipment and stuff. It just has to be replaced through John Deere. A lot of it you can't work, or a lot of newer cars, they just have to be replaced. Like there's not like a,
well, it's because
we're missing like the essential of building what actually that technology. We're just like, just get another one.
Well, it's
like you said, just reproduce it.
It's that things are no longer like the barrier to entry, like for mechanics and stuff like that, and being able to repair that stuff was very, very easy back in the day. It's gotten so complex that it's like, no, you need to be specialized. Like this is something that like, if you want to pick it up, it's going to cost you a lot of money for you to try to just take it and fix it. Whereas nowadays, like back then, like I had my uncle talk to me about it whenever I first got my very first car. He was like, back in my day, if my car broke down, it was cheaper for me to mess up repairing it 3 times than go to someone to have them fix it. So you'd buy the part and you just kind of figured it out. And if it worked, great. If it didn't, you figured out another way and you tried something different. Like it was just easier.
And it's
things a little more universal.
Like, it's a two-pronged thing even. Like the barrier to entry, but also like the companies want it that way. Because you think about, again, on phones, used to, it's like it needs a new battery, or you can take the little squishy contacts and like clean them with a Q-tip, your phone works again, or slap the back of it. Now, you know, people don't understand, like, what do you mean you can't replace the battery? Like Clayton's saying, it's like, do you have to be a specialist to remove those batteries? You have to have certain equipment. You have to know what you're doing so you don't puncture that lithium and start smoking up the house and catch it on fire. Like but there are companies that are fine with that, you know what I mean? Because it's like, you can't fix it yourself. You know, and then there's a teardown video of the iPhone 13 that like was going viral the other day, of this guy breaks it open and he shows you how it's even less repair friendly as Apple progresses. They don't want it to be repaired. Exactly. So in the cars too, you know, because everyone has mechanics in their family, right? You know, you talk to your mechanic in your family and they're like, well, if you have a newer car, it's like, no, I have to completely disassemble the front end to change this one chip. It's designed that way, so you have to take it to the dealership, and they can screw you over, charge you higher, or just be like, no, you're just going to get a new car. You know?
Oh, yeah.
So it's a two-pronged thing.
I mean, my car is evidence of that, dude. To change replace a bulb in my headlight, I have to pull off the whole front fender of it, get in, unscrew the actual mount that holds the light. Then I can take it, put it all back, and then have to put the front of it back on again. Like, it took me and my dad, the first time we did it, it took us like 2 hours. And then the second time we did it, it took us like 45 minutes because we knew what we were doing. It's just they make it inconvenient. Because, like, most cars that I've ever had to change it in, because, like, I literally have changed headlights and taillights before in other vehicles because it's not hard. Typically, you can just pop it open, unscrew the dill, put the bulb in, screw it back, you're good. I looked at mine because I was like, I need to get this fixed now. And I looked at it and I'm like, that's not easy. Let me look it up and see if maybe I'm just stupid. And then I look at the whole video of the breakdown. I'm like, okay, cool. I can't do that. I'll have to set a day to go somewhere with someone who has the tools. It's stupid. They want you to go to a dealership for half the stuff, because I guarantee you to replace that light at a dealership would have been like $75.
And there's so many and there's so many things like that. It's hard to find hobbies where you can still just like fix something yourself. You have to do a very basic hobby, you know. Like when I was playing guitar last year, the electronics went out and I was like immediately oh my gosh, I want to get a whole new guitar. Watched a couple YouTube videos. You can just solder it. I'm like, I can't solder. learned how to do it in like 2 minutes because it's this little. It's not like an actual. You have to take a class for it. It's just like one little thing, but it felt cool. Felt good. Felt like a man because I repaired something with my own hand, and then it worked. You know, and you know, and you feel that same way with a skateboard when you put the trucks together, or it's like a bearing bust and you just pop out and you're like, I did this and now I can use it. And it's the dumbest thing.
Well, the thing is too, like if we look back at cars, right? Like I've helped change the power steering in an old like Ford pickup truck. You can literally just get at the part as long as you know what the piece is, you know what to go buy, you take it out, put the next piece in, screw it in. Nowadays it's you need this specialized tool to get in, unratchet it from here. Then you have to have the vehicle jacked up so that you can get underneath it to undo this screw and this bracket. Like,
I hate it.
It's literally they have engineered it to make it difficult. Like, whereas, like,
So
if you've ever messed with an old vehicle, like, you may not be confident that you could do it, but I guarantee you, you give it a day, you would figure out how to change the one part you needed to change. Like, it's not that bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think the same thing with like computers.
Mm-hmm.
You buy a pre-made one, or a laptop. Don't even try to repair it. It's too compact. And it's like but like you buy a PC, it can be finagled in a way that makes it hard to repair. You know what I mean? But if you build one, so I've never built one. I imagine it gives you the same thing as putting together a skateboard or fixing a car. It's like I made this and I use it. And I'm connected to the rest of the planet.
Well, the best,
like a different feeling.
The best descriptor I have that someone gave me after we talked about building PCs, so he was like, "Yeah, PCs are pretty much just adult Legos." And that's like, that's exactly what it is. You just literally you need to make sure everything will fit and work together. But there's websites you just put that info into. It says it's good. You order the parts, and then after that, it's screw stuff, put it in together. And then if you're like me and Quentin, you have one thing plugged in wrong and you think you screwed up the whole thing. And you just call it a night and come back the next day after one of your buddies who works on computers is like, plug it into this slot. Plugged it in, kept right on. It's like,
That was a long time we were fucking with that.
Yeah.
Sometimes sleeping on something, you'll like find, like your brain will find the answer. It's so weird. Like, I don't know how many times, like, I've lost count of how many times I'm like, walk away from something. That didn't happen, I know. But.
It wasn't even that. It was literally like the plugins are like, all right, plug it in here, plug it in here, plug it in here. Oh, well, I mean, this is the only place that this makes sense to plug it in. Plug it in and it doesn't kick on. And then come to find out there's like a 4-bar piece or like an 8-bar piece. And yours is a 2-bar, but your 2-bar goes into a specific slot on that 8-bar piece.
It's on the motherboard somewhere.
Why? Why would you design it that way?
Dude, we were working on hard mode though. We were like overthinking. We were
we literally were.
Moving everything around when instead of just like trying to move small pieces, we're like, no, something's fucked up. Like,
well, yeah, we were checking like, is the motherboard good? Is like, dude, I remember honestly, I think we could have gotten it probably done that night if we hadn't had such a problem trying to mount my actual like piece, like CPU cooler.
That was hard too. Yeah, we like drilled into the top of your case.
Oh yeah. Come to find out, afterwards we're idiots. We could have just put it in the front of my case and it would have been fine. We just had to like change some things and unplugged it and ran the like tubing differently, but it works. It stays cool.
Yeah. We figured it out.
Yep, it'll work. It'll be fine. At most, all I did was screw up my case. Okay, cases are cheap. They're like maybe $30. Like I can get a cheap case and be fine.
That's literally that's the grip tape. It's like if you want to look snazzy, it doesn't really matter.
Like I'm not showing off my PC. My PC is for me to play on. Like I don't care if someone comes in and looks at my PC and goes, "Oh, your cable management's garbage." Yeah, PC works just fine though. So, like, I don't care.
Dude, I always like the NXT or NZT brand ones and the little white ones that are like mid-size. I think those look fucking cool.
Oh yeah,
like,
those
right
cases
up on their
are
desk,
clean.
and you can see through. That's fucking nice.
Oh yeah, no, dude, my favorite PCs are the desk where someone will make a desk and then put a glass top over it, and the parts are all laying in the desk. Those, I'm like, I would love to have that.
That's insane. I've seen those oil cooled ones, and they're like, it's too disgusting and messy because it's like water's water cooled. It's like constant, you know what I mean? But then I saw like oil as well, and they're like it's just gross.
Well, dude, so what's funny about that is like CPU coolers went from fans to no longer being fans to where like you want to run water cool because it's better because of how CPUs were designed and they ran really hot because they were just inefficient. They've made those CPUs so good that like you can honestly get away and easily do just normal ones. You don't need water cool anymore to push your PC to its limits. Like you can just do a normal like fan cooled one.
Yeah.
A noob trap. I love finding the noob traps in different hobbies.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
unnecessary
the new people.
Expense.
They think this is the thing. Yes, dude. I love finding out noob traps in different hobbies. I'm like, I never would have known.
For me,
that's like the razors on the boards. The risers or whatever.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of new technology that always comes out. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
Well, like,
I'm trying to think of another one.
With my PC, like, I don't feel like I went wrong with water cool. I would rather have water cool. It's quieter. Like, that's at least how I look at it. I'm like, it's quieter. I don't have to listen to my fans kick up really high as I'm using my PC. Water cool, maybe every so often I'll hear it kick a little bit harder, but it's done within like 20 minutes, like if that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to go water cool if I get a chance in the future because I turned on my old one because my brother was using it for his party the other day, so I put it out in the living room and like, dude, it's loud, bro.
When was I also want to know, like, when was the last time you cleaned it, too? You're probably making the fans work way harder than they have to be.
It's actually pretty clean. I cleaned it the last time I moved. I sprayed it out with the air can, and then Selena, like, cleans the room and dusts a lot. So, like, I remember, and I have lost the siding to it, so it didn't hold a lot in there. When I brought it out, my brother even said, he's like, dang, it's actually pretty clean. But I was surprised because I built that in 2014, and he wanted to play the new Guilty Gear on it. It looks like Fighter Z or whatever, and I was like, I don't know if that's gonna run, dude. That's like 7 years old computer, and he's like, I should be fine. It ran perfect. I was like, I'm kind of impressed because I thought its limits because I could play The Witcher 3 on like medium graphics at like 45 frames. I was like, that's probably. I always assumed that was like its limits, but.
No, I see. That's my thing. Is like The Witcher and stuff like that. That really, honestly, just comes down to the simple fact of like all your parts are probably older. The Witcher demands a lot. Like there's some games that like I can run a bunch of things in the background with it, but like if I try to play like Killing Floor 2. Dude, it kills my drive. Like, it eats up everything on my driver. So I can't run anything in the background. I can't run music. I can't run other things without it having problems.
Dude, if you want to test it, I recently replayed God of War. Dude, my PlayStation sounds like there's an airport in my living room. Yep. Dude.
Yeah, dude, all you have to do for that is just take it and blow it out.
It's a PS4 Pro too.
Supposed to be the good one.
Like,
dude,
dear God.
It's literally just dirt and everything clogging it up. If you literally like blow it out, take it apart and blow it out, because mine would do that because the hard drive fan got really dirty. Aired all that stuff out, popped off the siding, aired it out, cleaned it out. It ran a little bit and then it was good.
That's so crazy, man. Like that's just how. Yeah, and then like seeing the innards of it, that was like a trend for a while. You had the see-through Game Boys, like see-through light-up controllers were super cool. Yeah. And this was LED controllers, dude. Those were the shit, bro. That was but
those were cool.
Now it's all yeah.
Okay, dude. You were saying about the what were you just saying?
The innards and the light-up controllers.
Yeah,
I replayed God of War.
Yeah,
God of War, bro. I finally, I was gonna tell you, I sold my PS4. I saw like all my PS4 stuff. I'm excited. I'm gonna try to get a 5, dude. Like I find there's like a handful of games, like 4 to 5
Bro,
games, and I'm
dude.
like, I actually really want to play.
Bro.
And I'm like,
this
I'm
is
really
one of
thinking about it.
it's one of the few times that I would be like, yes, go for a console. Just like now, I would be like if you asked me 2 years ago, I would have been like, yeah, just buy new PC parts, dude. It's worth it. Nowadays with the card shortage, yeah, buy a PS5. It makes sense.
Dude,
Some cool games coming out.
they're going for 700 or 800, dude. Like
I
I
saw,
knew a guy at work.
they're expensive.
I knew a guy at work walked into Walmart. He saw they had 2, texted one of the coworkers and was like, meet me up here. So he went and bought the first one, gave her the other money. He's like, go in and buy the second one. So he got 2. We sent somebody to help cover a shift. That coworker's like, bro, you have 2 PS5s? He's like, I'll sell it to you right now for 800. So like, dude, yeah, bro, they are, especially dude, Christmas is coming up, man. Like, they're gonna be scalped. I will not be surprised to see them for $1,100 to $1,200.
That's just it. They've been scalped from the beginning. Like, it's gonna get to holiday season, just the demand's gonna go up, so the asking price is gonna go up. There's not gonna be that many more. It's crazy to me that how like scarce electronics are at this point. Like, I figured we'd have a bounce back where like manufacturing caught back up, but it's not catching up to the demand.
Mm-mm. The other day, a guy at work was saying that apparently we're like in America, we're like 65,000 slots short of truckers. Like there's an extremely high demand that they've started going into some high schools and offering students. Like I think they're starting their junior year, like they can already start training to get CDL, even though normally I think you have to be 18 or 21. I can't remember, but they're like already like just churning them out and offering benefits and shit. Because we need them, and that's just
they're gonna have to do. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to do something. Like you have labor shortages, you have a couple 100,000 dead, right? So like, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff at work. There's balance, but there's no balance. I mean,
that's the other thing is for a while. I know for a couple months, people are like, "Oh, the labor shortage is only in America, and it's because everyone's lazy and they're on unemployment benefits." But then I saw like there's apparently a worldwide labor shortage. Like it's not just here.
Well, it's
so many people have learned so many people have adopted work from home model or the side gig model. And you know, a lot of people, you got to think in our generational age, so what if I have to take a few steps back for a few years if I don't have to go back to a toxic job?
Yep.
You know, like
people are caring more about their personal happiness and stuff like that. Like whenever we talk generations and stuff like that, I would definitely say our generation has brought like mental like awareness and mental healthiness to like, you need to look at these things. These are a priority. Where in the past it was like, oh yeah, that's Dave. He has war flashbacks. Oh, crazy Dave.
Yeah, and in reality, he needs help.
Yes.
Well, and people, dude, yeah, like people are tired of the fake company culture. You know what I mean? They're tired of, because they just don't get it. You know what I mean? Like they don't really feel like they work with a family. You know what I mean? Because like we say, oh, it's a work family. It's like, dude, people are not my family. Okay, and then that doesn't work on everyone because you have people like Clayton who would fucking hate their family.
Well, like even me, like what I try to explain to like coworkers and stuff like that is like, y'all are just coworkers. I need y'all to understand that. Like at the end of the day, if y'all leave and never talk to me again, don't worry. I'm okay with that. Like if you want to hit me up after you left, cool. But other than that, like I don't really care. Like we are coworkers. We're going to move past each other in a long time. Like it's going to happen. Like
you know, and then they're tired of being told like, hey, we're a family, but you're replaceable. It's like, okay, you can't, you know. So it's like if you tell me that, you know, it makes me feel like I don't. It makes me feel like I don't matter. You know, it's one of those truths you don't bring up to the front. You know what I mean? Like you can know in the back of your mind at any job you probably are replaceable. I mean, honestly, it's just the red pill of it. But it's one of those things you just don't want to talk about. You don't want it to be shoved in your face. You know what I mean? Like in a relationship, if you know what I mean, like if your dream woman, if you know Katy Perry or you know I don't know whoever your dream celebrity is, was like, hey, this is your one shot to take this down. You're taking it down. Like, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? You just don't rub it in their face.
I mean, yeah, dude, that's
Well, I think it's a lot of things just pushing people to the point that they don't care anymore. Like, bro, you say we're a family, but I get yelled at by you. I get yelled at by customers. Like, what's the point?
that's
Like, I get yelled at from both sides. Why? Like, not worth it. Like, no one's happy with me. It doesn't make sense anymore.
I met a guy at work that and I guess like because he asked me, he's like, where'd you come from before? And I was telling him I was in customer service, and he was like, yeah, me too. He's like, I was a manager at McDonald's for like 6 years. I was like, oh my God. And he was like, yeah. He was like, I kind of took a pay cut coming here, but it's worth it. He was like, I got so much disrespect and people just treated me like shit all the time. He's like, I just couldn't take it anymore. I was like, God dang. So he's like, I took a pay cut, but he's like, I like this a lot better. You know, just doing manual labor and stuff. But
Well, see,
that's cool.
my thing is too, like, times are gonna change too, because as our generation gets older and takes over those jobs, like, we care about those things. Like, we don't.
Yeah.
Like, if I go to like a fast food chain and I literally see like, hey, we're short staffed, it's gonna be a while. Cool.
Yeah.
Perfectly fine with that. You mess up my food, like, does it suck for me? Yeah, I don't care to complain, dude. I get it. Like, it happens. It's not worth it. Like, I really don't care to ask you to remake this. I get it. You're busy. I don't want to put you out. It's whatever. I'll move on.
And that's the thing, is the market is checking itself, which I do think is probably a good thing. From like, I've heard some people call this like the Great Resignation or some shit, but like the market without, you know, the federal government putting its fucking toe in is raising wages due to demand and all that stuff. So it's, you know, I mean, it's still, inflation is going to happen, but it's going to happen at a healthier rate than if the government was like 15 an hour minimum wage across the board, don't care. It's just, it's a competitive rate. You know, like McDonald's, I think, is like 14 and Matanda is like 14. Walmart raised their distribution to $24.50,
well, it's
and
gonna
you get
be
a bonus.
It's gonna be a couple different things though too. Like, it's not gonna be just the wage thing. It's gonna be the fact of like, you can do one of two things as a company. You can either start treating your employees right and not make them put up with all the BS you make them put up with, and start treating them better, or you're gonna have to pay them more to for them to deal with it.
Accommodate.
So like, we're gonna see
put up with it.
Small businesses probably, I assume, aren't gonna be able to deal with the wage like hike, but they're gonna treat their employees a lot better and work with them a lot better and provide a healthy work environment.
I mean,
yeah,
dude,
like you have to, you know, these people, like, they have to understand that, like, they need the workers, you know, but they have to understand that. It's one thing to know it, but it's a whole other thing to understand it, you know. And of course, there's gonna be shitty people. You're going to hire bad, and you're going to have to fire them in a few months. That's life. But overall, in the grand scheme of things, you cannot function without the teams, right? And, you know, I think, you know, and I think it's great. Yeah, I don't want the government stepping in because, yeah, they will find a way to fuck it up. But, yeah, like, all these people are asking for is a living wage and not to be treated like cockroaches, right? Not to be treated like human garbage, you know. And if they can get both, that's a win. Because you're going to spend 40 to 45 hours a week of your life doing this. You know what I mean? That's more time. You spend more time at work than you do at home.
Yep.
Like that is just the truth of the matter. Like, you visit home and you go back to work. So you have to find some semblance of enjoyment in what you're doing, or some coworkers, you know, because that's too, like, sometimes you have a shitty job, but like, you have the, like, man, these coworkers are awesome, I can do this. You know?
That's what I was going to say.
You know,
that
like,
makes a big difference.
Yep.
It's a huge difference when you have good people to work with. Yeah.
Right. You're like, I can put up with this, you know, or whatever. So, and it's you know, it's not like these people are asking for the world. You know what I mean? Because then you see other countries, and I know this labor shortage is happening everywhere, but you see different models of how things run. You see 4-day work weeks, or you just see, you know, European countries where, like, the father gets maternity leave. You know what I mean? Right now, they only do that in California that I know of. Because I know someone who just moved from there. He's like, that was the only good thing about it, was that he's like, they get to take the same amount of bonding time with the child.
That's cool.
There's things like that. You know what I mean? Like, that's not, you know what I mean? And it's not frowned upon to take vacation in other countries.
Mm-hmm.
It is like,
Yes,
it is like,
expected.
you know what I mean?
It's expected.
It's
You need
extreme.
to
Yeah,
take
I
it.
feel like
They
it's
want
very
you
frowned
to.
upon here.
Oh yeah.
Like by your higher ups, you're like, God, you're gonna be putting me out, you know. And then like sometimes, or if you had to take a leave or something, or you might get replaced on that leave. Like it's not like you can take it without like that worry. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you did have a child or some major surgery or something, like
Yeah.
there's
Yeah,
the
'cause
shit's
you're like-
always just,
You're like, this is going to make me look bad if I take off with my kid. And that's the other thing. And it's like another thing people do is they take vacation and then still work. And then that's like supposed to get you brownie points. And it's like, dude, that is so backwards. That is not how that's supposed to work. There's like,
because I guarantee you, I mean, not all the time, but most of the people that are like benefiting from people like overworking themselves like that don't even know who you are or don't care to know who you are. You know, like they're just benefiting from it. They're way too many levels above you.
Right. They only see what's in front of them. So it's like, dude, you have to. Yeah, no. And people are waking up to that notion too, to take that time. You know what I mean? Take that time to do what they want to do or whatever. Just take your time off because they have to understand. And then also the other thing is that, you know, with the current employees too, that's a frustration in a lot of industries because they're seeing hiring bonuses. They're seeing perks for the new people. And they're like, okay, but I stayed. You know what I mean? So some companies are making a transition like, you know, I've seen companies like, okay, well, we are going to give everyone here a raise that's been here, you know, since the thing or whatever. But it's like, if the people understand, this is another one of the things, if the people understand the power is with them, change can happen if they all do it at once, but the problem is doing it at once, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if everyone says F you, things will change. But like,
it's hard
but again,
to say.
Like
a lot of people depend literally week to week.
They depend week to week because it's a scary jump to take. But I mean, I don't mean just walking away from the job, but like you can also put your foot down. You know what I mean? But I was talking to Clayton about this yesterday because like Caesar invented the bread and circuses. If you just give people bread and circuses, they'll do whatever you want. They'll take the abuse. So that's why the gladiators was a thing because he knew that people love gladiator fights. If I just give them gladiator fights, they'll do whatever I want. And he's right. Right. So there was we have the whole vaccine mandate at a federal level now.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to my buddy. There was a football game. They had a vaccine like pop-up spot to get into the game. So like most of these people going to the game were not vaccinated, right? Because they're that type of person. And they're like, you have to take the vaccine if you want to go see the football game. So how many people were getting the shot right there just to go in to see their circus and eat their bread, right?
Damn.
Because they're going to do it to see their football game, which is so funny to me because it's like, you are not protected. I jab you and you walk 10 feet into that stadium. You're not protected.
Yeah,
that
it
is
like
not
2
how
weeks
that works.
after the second shot.
We know, not even getting political, we know that's literally not how that works.
Yeah,
so what the fuck?
That makes no sense. That's just, I don't understand that. I
like,
guess it starts the process.
Yeah, I guess that's the logic on it. It's like, well, we got him to take the first one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Like,
hopefully they take the second
we
one.
did half the job, man. I don't know. We didn't think of it. Did you want us to get us on, like, on the way out? Did you want us to get them too?
Yeah.
Dude, right? Like, what? Yeah, second one to leave. Like, what? Like, you're not protected. What is this? It's a clown world, dude. What the hell is going on? What?
Yeah,
that is very strange. I don't understand that.
I mean, I know there's a lot of, like, football stadiums and stuff like that, like NFL level, who are like, yeah, you can't come see the game if you're not vaccinated.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah.
But do you have to wear a mask up there or no?
You have to be fully vaccinated, so, I mean,
so no, man.
I think that you shouldn't have to wear a mask, but who knows? I mean,
I don't see, that's what's confusing. The CDC says, like, you should still, or recommends, you should still wear a mask even if vaccinated.
I think
good.
They don't want to risk like variants because you're not 100% protected, and they're like, well, I mean, dude, half the people aren't getting the shot. If we can get like a lot of people to still mask up, we can still cut the number back a little bit, maybe. Like, I guess that's the logic on it.
Well, I saw this thing on it was the mayor of San Diego, I think, or San Francisco, one of those, and like there was like a news story about her, and someone had recorded her at like a it was like a bar or a club, you know, like, and it was like a family type one, and there was like some jazz band playing, and she was like dancing in the background, and no one in the building had masks on, and she was being interviewed, and they're asking her why she didn't have a mask on, and she was like, you know what, this is really sad that y'all are making a story about this. I'm fully vaccinated. Everyone in that building was fully vaccinated. The story should be about that San Francisco nightlife is back. And do you realize this was the original band members here? And they just asked her again. They're like, but you're the one that put in the mask mandate for the city, or even indoors if vaccinated. And she was just like, you know, I'm out there, and when I'm eating or I'm drinking and I'm having a good time, I'm not going to pull my mask down and back up every time I want to do that. People don't do that. People just don't do that. And I was just like, that was her
Dude,
answer.
again,
I'm not going to follow the own mandate that I like put in for y'all's safety. Like,
it is rules for thee, not for me. And this is through historical times, since the dawn of time, this is how it's worked. Congress members are exempt from having to get the vaccine. So again, rules for thee, not for me. And how many politicians, yes, and how many politicians have been, you know, recorded at parties of like, who said wear the mask, and they're like, well, you're having a party with all your rich friends. You know what I mean? It's how it's always going to work. Yes, right. So it's like, dude, it's like this, like, it's like, how many times does this have to happen for people to be like, ew.
Yeah, I didn't know that they weren't required to get vaccinated. That it seems very strange because they're public officials. I would think they would be fucking required like ASAP, just like teachers or shit like that. I don't know. That's a lot of people in one room every time they're having sessions. I would think that's surprising.
Dude, and then also like,
for jobs. But.
You should also look, you'll like this one, but if you search Project Veritas, there's a 5-part series right now. It's hidden camera. 2 are whistleblowers, 3 are hidden camera interviews about people who work at these big companies like Pfizer, like J&J. Like the stuff they say is scary. Like it is like one of the whistleblowers like is like recording other nurses. They're people who are having side effects. They're like, yeah, I'm not going to fill out the paperwork. It takes too long. And then like some of the nurses are like, this shot's, full of it, like they know it's not doing, all this stuff. And then there's also like one of the guys that works for J&J, I think it was J&J, or maybe he's Pfizer. No, this one's an FDA. He was like, yeah, like we should just go around with blow darts and shoot everybody who refuses it. And we should get a list. They want to get a list of everyone who's unvaccinated. He's like, I know that sounds kind of Germany-ish. And the guy's like, what do you mean by Germany? He's like, he's like, that sounds kind of Germany. Yeah.
Good old days.
And he's like,
no, that one just sounds like the guy's more just like, I know what you're doing here. I'm just going to mess with you now.
Watch it. Trust me, watch it. You'll be like, that dude is very unsettling, right? Because he's like, it's just very unsettling, right? And then, God, what was it like? It's a 5-part series, man, but it's crazy, dude. The crazy stuff they're saying, and like, because like one of the guys that works for, I think this was the J&J one. He's like, yeah, if they refuse the mandate, I want them to be like second-rate citizens. Like everything should be inconvenient for them. Like, what do you mean second rate? He's like, like maybe they don't have a job, like whatever, sucks. He's like, they should be treated like second class people. And like, and then one guy's like, he's like, yeah, but he's like, we shouldn't put it in kids. He's like, well, why, if it's safe, why would you not want it for kids? And he's like, he's like, you shouldn't subject children to what adults have to, you know what I mean? He's like, you don't want to put that in them. Like, it's so crazy, right? It's so crazy.
I thought they were putting it in kids that are 12 and older, I thought, right?
No, dude, my thing with that is like people are like, oh, they're saying don't put it in kids. It's like, no, they haven't passed kid FDA things are a lot harder to get passed.
Yeah.
Like it's not even that it's not safe. It's like we don't know yet. We still have to meet all the requirements for them. We'll probably hit it, but we're not there yet. There's a long process that we have to get through before we can say it's safe for kids.
And I know
not only that, well, they just applied for the
emergency. Right?
Right. Well, they just applied for the emergency mandate for children. They do want that. But if you watch the employee interviews or the hidden cameras, they're like, yeah, at this point, it is a profit thing. That's the problem. It's fine if you're helping people, but they're like, these employees are like, oh no, like our company is run off of COVID money now. Like we want the booster shot. They want to mandate it for kids and all that. And on one hand, you can be like, yeah, but they work for the company. They don't represent the company. When you work at a company, you adopt their views and large, at least 80%. You know what I mean? Like if you talk to anybody that's in customer service, there's a reason, there's a common pattern in how you feel about customers, how you have this mantra about the way you do things. So it's just really, it's very unsettling to, yes.
No, dude, I'm going to give you pushback on that because how many people are like, yeah, my boss is an idiot. They don't understand anything they're doing. And then think about how big the corporation is that we work for. Do you have any idea what the higher ups actually want from like the very, very high up? No, you like to think that you do, but you don't really understand it. So it's like, I mean, it's hard to say because at that point you're saying it becomes a discussion of like, are the bottom level people, because they're the majority, what the company actually wants? Or is it the top dog who, like the CEO, is he the one that actually decides and represents what the company wants?
So here's the thing. If it was mutually exclusive only to the top, you would not be able to tell your stories. You'd not be able to share your frustrations and relate it to anyone else who works in our industry. It would be like, oh, you know, it'd be like, yeah, the top wants this, the top wants this. You tell that to somebody in our industry, they're like, oh yeah, same. That would be mutually exclusive to you if that was the case. It'd be like, no, you know.
So, it's not that, it's that like the inner complexities of why things are done a certain way. We don't know 90% of it. We just make broad assumptions. We're like, has some sort of money component to it. That's the most we know.
Okay, and then here's the other thing. I mean, they're great to watch because here's the other thing. What they talk about how they have like meetings, like they have all employee meetings with like the heads, like the executives in there, and they're like, do not tell the public this, this, and this. This is the narrative. Do not tell the public this about this. This is what you say. And then like another girl who's a whistleblower, she was exposing the email threads because they were experimenting with fetal tissue, and they're like, we can't let this be known, right? So they like had an approved statement to use, and she's like, okay, make sure everyone says this, like make sure that no one knows we're using fetal tissue in these, right? It'll cause too much harm if people know that. And then like in those labs, there's huge windows everywhere to see people working, you know, to check on everybody. And they start blacking out the windows one day in one of the labs that they're doing one of the new experiments in, right, or whatever. And she's like, why are y'all blacking out the labs? We're supposed to, the rule here is always be seen working. And they're like, well, the FDA is coming through. We want to make sure these are blacked out. So it's like, there's unsettling things. It's just really weird to see.
Jesus.
And then so the guy who owns Project Veritas comes and like, he walks up to one of the guys that was on hidden camera. He's like, hey, you're a doctor at Pfizer, aren't you? And he like gets up from the table. He's like, what are you doing? What are you talking about? He's like, I just want to show you this video of you on camera. And he like darts off and gets in his car. And he's like, you said these things on camera. Why are you not admitting to them? And he just starts his car and he's like trying to back out. He's like, you can back out and leave, but this is you saying all these things. And then on several of the hidden camera ones, it's so funny, dude, because they're like, he's like, because they do a follow-up question in the hidden camera interviews, and like two of the people are like, all right, you're not wearing a wire, are you? She's like, no, I'm not wearing a wire. She's like, okay, then I'll tell you. And then like, it's so fucked up, dude. Like,
I remember seeing their videos from like 2016, and he was like interviewing some guy from the DNC, and they were talking about like screwing up Bernie's campaign. It was like a hidden, it was Project Veritas. That upset me so much, but yeah, they do
so many things. There's so many things. I watched Endgame. I made it all the way.
You finally watched it?
Wait, Endgame?
I watched Endgame.
Damn,
not Avengers Endgame. Alex Jones Endgame.
Okay, so I actually want to engage on this.
I was like, what?
So let me give you like my takeaway from it when I watched it.
Okay.
this is stupid and he did nothing to back up his claims. Like, there's nothing here to really back anything up is how I looked at it. He's just like, we know that this is ran and the banks are owned by these people. They started a war back then. And I'm like, okay, but you're not, like, where's the evidence of it? Like, you're just saying that these are facts, but, like, he doesn't translate the facts well. Like, even if he does have the evidence, he doesn't do a good way of just, like, presenting it. It feels like more of an opinion rather than, like, I'm giving you just straight facts.
Where did you watch it? Where's it at?
It's on YouTube. You type in Alex Jones. It will not recommend it to you.
You
type in the
can
words
straight
Alex
up
Jones
just watch it.
in game. It'll show you.
Mm-hmm.
Blueprint for Global Enslavement.
Right.
Cool.
I guess that's just our two worldviews, dude. I walked away from that, and I'm like, to still think nothing is afoot, you just don't want to believe it.
No.
Because they go to Bilderberg meetings, and then he breaks down, like, the beginning is, like, the Rothschilds and the banking system, all that, whatever. But, like, they go to the Bilderberg meetings, and, like, you know, they can't get on the property and all this stuff, and they get the list of names and stuff. I'm like, to still think there's nothing afoot is like, you just don't want there to be because it's
no.
It makes you feel helpless.
That's
that's how I feel.
So here's my thing though. It's like all the Rothschild stuff, that beginning part, no facts are actually presented. He's just like, this is how it is. We know this, but doesn't follow it up even for like the layman who's not into it. The end half, yeah, like that part, little bit more fact-based and shows you a lot more. Whereas I feel like the beginning assumes that you know a lot without showing you any of it.
So I think even with that, I don't know what would make it to be like, hey, this is like proof, but it kind of tries to prep you for what makes sense in the second half. But a better one. I think that there's two things. Okay, first, I'll say about this. It's weird to watch it in 2021. It's almost creepy to watch it in 2021. But a better one, even, and you'll like this one, Clayton. I mean, both of you will like it, but you'll actually get in on this one, Clayton. You have to search this one by the exact title, too. But it's called Everything is a Rich Man's Trick. And you click it, you have to go through 2 YouTube warnings before it plays. It's funny. But it is 3.5 hours. It starts out with the banking system. Starts out with the original bloodlines and all that stuff, is per usual conspiracy stuff. But when it gets good is he deep dives JFK. And it is like watching that, like what we know about the JFK thing and like it was an inside job is only surface level. He breaks it down. Here's how it got set up. Here is during, why it's false. And then he's doing everything after. He shows like the helicopter, how they had the wrong body switch, who was messing with the cadaver, and like they were manipulating other bodies to look like they were shot different ways. And then he shows that the eyewitnesses are hired, and then he just breaks down how most of the documentaries about JFK have been produced by the CIA. So it is even it's different levels of propaganda, and then certain celebrities have been appointed, right? And then there's only like 2 minutes on September 11th. But it deep dives, and he shows you how they even go into skull and bones on this one, because it's like Prescott Bush benefited off the Holocaust, started the CIA, was employed at the CIA during the JFK assassination. However, they rewrote that in history that he wasn't working there and he couldn't have planned this assassination, but Prescott Bush did. And then, started Skull and Bones, and then seniors in Skull and Bones, juniors in Skull and Bones, and somehow all of them have political power. Just a coincidence that all these people in Skull and Bones are in power, but the JFK thing gets insane. He shows you like this person was involved, murdered. This person was involved, murdered. They got in a car accident, but they were the only car accident on a lone highway. Like, dude, it's every person they had strategically murdered, and like how the mafia was like running the USA at the time. And basically the CIA is just the mafia, because they will just kill you, if you disagree. And then he shows it's not exclusive to America. There was these London train bombings, and like basically from the official report, they claim, oh, it was this train that left at 9:40. If you pull the schedule for that day, the 9:40 train was canceled. There was no train at 9:40. And it's just, dude. And then they have like he was showing, he's like, they don't care. They will lie in front of your face. It's a joke to them. So during the London one, there was another act of terrorism. They interviewed a terrorist on the street, and he's like, I just beheaded this guy, and his hands are covered in blood, and he has like a butcher knife. And he's like, if he just beheaded a guy, his shirt would be covered in blood. They moved the camera over to the decapitated body. It's just a guy laying over on the middle of the street. There's no pool of blood. If you got your head chopped off, you'd be bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
So he just breaks down. He really exposes. He's like, there was never any terrorism. It is the invisible enemy because you always need an enemy. He's like, there is no terrorism. Like, it is all terrorism is just the government's deception. It's unsettling to watch because it's like world shattering of like how messy the JFK thing can get. And it's like, okay, that was what, 60 years ago or however long ago, right?
A long time.
Right. To even think that it's like, well, it's not a thing now. It's like, dude, you're just crazy. You know what I mean? Like, it just shows like how everything's bought and sold. Like, most everything's propaganda, dude. Even the documentaries about the stuff is other propaganda because all the documentaries talk about Grassy Knoll. And he's like, dude, oh, there's another guy at the in Dallas when the assassination
Umbrella
happened.
guy.
Not the umbrella. No, not even the umbrella guy. So he talks about that, but that's like surface level now. This guy gave a report. So one of the bullets hit the concrete. It hit the concrete and a shard hit him in the cheek. He gave that report of like, he's like, no, there was no lone gunman. I got hit in the cheek by concrete from where I was standing. Something hit the ground where I was at. He was murdered. He was murdered after giving that statement. Dude,
Jesus Christ, bro.
It's insane, bro. It's 3.5 hours. So
have y'all watched Squid Game yet?
No.
I need to watch it, dude. Okay, because it's a lot about.
We're not gonna watch it. Tell us.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so good, bro. But it's a lot about like that, like global elitism. Well, not really global elitism, but just people that are like these insanely rich
it's an
people.
Allegory for it.
Yeah, these insanely rich people that have so much money and so much power that they're basically bored. They don't know what to do with it. So they like set up this system that goes out and finds people that are in deep debt or deeply desperate for money and get them to agree, tell them like, hey, we're having this game, come play and you can win a bunch of money. And basically once they get there, they find out that what they're betting is their life, and each of their lives is worth 100 million. And they have to play these children games. And when they play the games, they can potentially be killed in each one. And each time someone dies, their 100 million gets added to the pot. And like by the end, you find out it's run by this world organization of like rich people who are like beyond unfathomable amount of rich that like at the end, the villain tells the main character, like, yeah, the network and me, like we've been doing this. I think they find out since like 1990 something. And it's based in 2020 for so long all over the world, just for fun. We're so bored. And that's literally what it was. Like, and the main villain, that's like, since y'all aren't even gonna fucking watch it, he's the main villain's he plays in the games, and it's because he's about to die. He's like an old man, so he's like, I want to live my life with excitement one more time. So he plays like through the games. It's really interesting. It's like an anime live action done right without it actually trying to be an anime. It was really good.
Hold on. I want to get back at you for attacking me when you don't watch half the stuff I recommend to you, okay? So
Squid Games is amazing.
I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, okay? Y'all don't watch half the stuff I recommend. You don't get to be upset.
I watched Black Hawk Down, okay?
Mm-hmm. That's one suggestion out of how many?
Okay, so like, it's funny you say the 100 million thing. That actually is a statistic in like a deep level economics. Like, basically a human life is worth that because that's the most they could output on average throughout their life.
That's crazy.
like produce the most they could produce for like towards the economy. So when corporations make those decisions or elites make those decisions like they have to evaluate, are we going to net profit off that? So that's fucking crazy and creepy that it's like the same number.
And people so it like rotates. Like one rich person would host it in their country, and then the VIPs, the other people would show up in these like crazy looking masks, and they would go there and they would bet like on different players. Just who's gonna win. They're like, I'll put so many billion on this person, and they'll just die, and they're like, fuck. And it's crazy because the furniture that these VIPs lay on is just people. It's more humans that are painted like fucking furniture. It's crazy, bro. Like the amount of wealth, and it's just insane, bro. And
it sounds right, dude. It's probably not that far off, right?
That it sounds right.
Is it that far off?
What's crazy is the guy that wrote it 10 years ago, and no network would take it from him. And he like sold like all his belongings just to try to keep it going. And he finally got it. No name actors. And it's supposed to be like the most watched in Netflix history. It even has, he has ISPs trying to sue him, or trying to sue Netflix because they bogged down their networks in South Korea. They're saying it's an ISP in South Korea and one other country that's saying Netflix traffic spiked so high that they should have to start paying to be on their ISP, just like Amazon or Facebook or Twitter, like someone, one of the other big ones.
God.
I was like, holy shit.
I did read the thing.
Like, damn.
I did read the thing about that, about how he tried for 10 years and like Netflix, and he's on track to be the like highest grossing show, most watched show in the history of Netflix. A lot to be said because Netflix really is like in every house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's insane, dude.
And it's interesting because, so what's interesting is how the elite people, how they kind of like wash their conscience is like, so these people would meet them. They'd find these individuals like in extreme debt, and they'd bet them with like a game. They'd open up a case of money, and it's like the Matrix. There's a red card and a blue card, and you pick a card, and they play a game. And most people would pick the blue card. And when you get your card, you have to throw it. It's just this little square cardboard thing. Throw it down on the ground, and if you can knock his over, like where you slap his that's laying on the ground and make it flip over, you have to throw it real hard. And he's like, you can win 100,000 won or whatever their money was. But if you lose, I get to slap you in the face. And it so shows the main character and a couple other characters, like they're so desperate and they're going through it, and they're like getting fucked up. And eventually they finally win. And he tries to go to slap the guy, and the guy's like, no, here's your money. And they like, it kind of hints at like, maybe money isn't what we're all worth. Well, so they go through the first game, and there's only 3 rules. And one of the rules is that if all players vote to end the games, then they can end. So after the first game, like 200 people die out of like 400 something. So everyone votes like, fuck this, we want to leave. Well, within like a week, all these same people contact, because they still have their like little cards, contact and sign back up for the games. So the VIPs are like, you're doing this out of your own will. You're making this choice yourself to come here and sacrifice. So it is really interesting. And by the end, the main character that won, it's kind of like a foreshadow. When he tried to slap that guy instead of take the money, he won like $46 billion or something. And he went and looked at it in his ATM, and he pulled out like 10,000 yen. And by the end, he was so fucked up. He went and bought some food, and it showed him like a year later. And this bank was like trying to talk to him about investing. And he was like, I'm not touching that money. Like, he just left it alone. He did not want to touch it. It was really weird.
Dude,
yeah.
That's so crazy. I mean, honestly, like that is like something about human nature. Like you said, they all signed back up. That is ultimately how it would be justified. Like, okay, you did this yourself, Yeah. I don't think we're ever going to see gladiator style stuff in our lifetime. I don't. But that is like
okay, not if I have anything to say about it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Did you hear about the phone number?
For it.
The phone number on the card in the show.
They were dumb enough that they put a real phone number on there when there are specific numbers that they are allowed to use, like 555. They use an actual South Korean man's phone number.
And he got so many calls. He said his phone would just die constantly. He'd get like up to 4,000 calls a day. So there's that many people that are just interested. Like, that's crazy too.
Well, because they think it's a secret. They're like, maybe if I call, I win $1 million. You know?
I think they'd be like most like movies that end up doing things like that is they'll turn it into like an Easter egg or something for a few years.
Yeah.
Well, they'll take the number, they'll put it there, they'll have a pre-recorded message that plays for you to be interested in.
There used to be when Mike Jones first came out with back then, and then he on the chorus he raps his song, he raps his number like 281-334-8004. If you call it at that time, it would just play the song. It would just back then they didn't want me. So like because that's really people are like, I'm gonna call Mike Jones. Like dude, they thought ahead of that.
Yep.
It's just a little funny game, a little Easter egg. You're not gonna call Mike Jones and ask him to come over. Is this Indiana Jones? So stupid. Dude, that poor Korean guy blowing up his phone. Dude, that reminds me. Remember, like when we wanted to first play that Dragon Ball MMO, and your brother introduced it to us. Yeah. We're like, what do you need to play? He's like, okay, all you need is a Korean social. Like, why does that sound so illegal?
A Korean social.
A Korean social.
You can do it.
Why would you need a social to play a game? And that's like, dude, like, come on, think that was like 2008 to 2011-ish. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, imagine
video
like
games. It's my social.
You're social because like, what if it's like, you know, if you troll too hard on there, you're banned. Your social is banned. You can't play this game. Like,
you're like, oh,
I could see that in VR games in the future, dude. I could see that in VR games in the future.
Like, I mean,
you know, if you're being an asshole, we'll ban you. Like certain, not all VR, but I could see that. Like, yeah, we're just gonna ban you permanently because you're a dick and we don't like you, and you're not allowed to this certain virtual world. Like, dude, that'll be
maybe like the Decentraland,
the virtual social credit, right?
Or you got to pay a fine to get in. Pay like 50 mana.
If it's a fine, well, if it's a fine, it only exists for the elite. Because they can just pay. Like these huge companies get sued. You're like, that's a lot of money. It's like they make that back in an hour.
They have funds set aside just for settling court cases.
For breaking the law.
Well,
yeah.
Like Tyson's guilty of it. Like they won't fix things in their factory that they constantly have incidences on, and they constantly get fined for because it's too expensive to redo the factory.
So it's just
they won't redo it. It's cheaper to pay the fine. It puts the workers in the way. That's the problem. Is the fine's not high enough.
God, man, that's crazy.
Dude, if it's a fine, I mean, really, dude. Like, I remember y'all were talking about somebody's boss like probably 5 to 10 years ago. Constantly gets speeding tickets, but he's a multimillionaire.
That's what I was about to bring that up. Yeah, it's quicker for him to just pay the ticket.
Yeah, he's like, sure, whatever. I'll just pay it again. I don't care. That's fine. Yeah, if it's like, that means you can break the law.
Yeah, if you have a certain amount of money, you want to take it to the smallest level to the top. Yeah, you can break the law.
You can break it. Dude, you know what I mean? Like, dude, video, it exists everywhere, you know? Like, when you get tired of killing all the guards in Skyrim, you're like, all right, take your 500 gold and go alone.
Yeah. Get out of my face.
It's nominal fees to me, right?
Nope, I won't pay it. I just tell them I'm the Jarl.
Keep killing.
I'm the Thane.
Jarl.
Jarl?
I'm friends with the Jarl.
Chaser.
Okay, my bad. We'll forgive you for the ruthless amounts of murder that you've committed.
Dude, I always like
better have more people.
Yeah, because we need to go on like village slaughters. I would always like black out the sun from the vampire DLC, and like it would like I think you could like make it like it would look real dark, and that's when I would start killing everyone in Whiterun.
The problem is, dude, because the game came out 10 years ago, like I felt like doing a Skyrim killing spree a month or two ago. I was like, there's not enough people in this town.
Yep.
For the time, it was advanced, but now I'm like, dude, nowadays that town would be packed, or the town would just be bigger. Like, yeah. You know, this does not satisfy my bloodlust. If you could add more people for me to kill, I would really appreciate that.
Like 12-year-old typing into fucking Bethesda.
But
all right then. I guess we're good. So, Nobody Named Kevin podcast, episode 32. Thank you for listening. Like, comment, and subscribe.